Jen Gottlieb, welcome to the David Nurse Show. Thank you for making the trip all the way from New York City to the best coast, the West Coast, Los Angeles. I appreciate you.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. Anything for you. I'm really excited.
Thank you. And we were talking offline about the food conversation, New York versus LA. I'm going to give it to New York.
Thank you.
New York does have the win, but the weather.
You have the win for the weather.
We do win for the weather. Okay.
So I think we're even now.
Yes.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens by the end of this conversation. Who wins?
That will be the debate as we go on here.
All right, good.
We'll keep throwing New York and LA back at each other.
I love it.
So start us off with a bang. Everybody knows you as this phenomenal speaker, author, just infectious personality, which you are. Seeing you on social media and following you from afar, it just seems like you always have just great energy and lighting people up. And that's exactly how you are in person. But let's take a step back from that and start us off with a bang of something that maybe most people don't know about you, Jen.
I feel like now I'll say something and someone's listening to this like, Jen, I knew that about you, because I actually go live now every day on Instagram.
I've seen that. You're very consistent with that.
Every day, no matter, it's like a weird, I have like, now it's almost like I can't not do it. Like it's like, you know, you're an athlete. Yeah. So the things before your show that like it's you had to do no matter what, almost like an OCD, like I cannot not go live. So I share pretty much every weird thing about me on there. So there will be people that be like, Jen, I knew that, duh. But there's two things. Number one, I'm actually an introvert, very much so.
Interesting.
So, and I think that might be interesting for some people to know, because if you look at like my Instagram like page and my TikTok, like I'm on stages with the outfits and all dressed and all glam and everything. But I actually I spend 95% of my time in my sweatpants at home with my dogs and my husband, and I don't like going out.
I love it.
At all. Like I'm the lamest lame. Here's something fun. I was in the final running to be on The Real Housewives of New York City.
No way.
I swear to God. No, people don't know this. This is a good one. I see things come out when you have a good interviewer. No one knows that. I wasn't allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want it. I was just kind of following the steps, because I was like, you never know what kind of an opportunity could open up from just like being in the running for something like that. Yeah, and I got to the final. And I think I talked them out of hiring me, because I sat down and I was like, listen, I will be the most boring housewife you've ever had in your life. I stay at home and do Zooms, and every once in a while I go out and I speak and I do my thing. But other than that, I really am like so introverted.
Yeah.
And so that's something about me that I don't think people like realize.
I appreciate that. And it's so interesting, because I think that is a blessing in disguise that you did not get that role on there, because reality TV, I know a lot of people in the reality space, they create whatever narrative they want of you. So what you've done so well to build this great character and persona could be just, you know, they try to tear that down. That's just how they do. So probably a blessing in disguise there.
100%.
Yeah, you get
When I found out I didn't get it, I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Because if I got it, I would have taken it. And I know that it probably wouldn't have. God was looking out for me there.
Oh, totally. And I think they take your phones and they like really put you in this like, you know, situation where it's just pandemonium that they create. It's not real life.
No.
Reality, but not real life. Interesting on that.
Yeah.
And to the point, and it's an interesting point, you talk about being introverted. It's something most people don't understand, that introverted and extroverted has nothing to do with can you talk to people? Can you speak in front of people? It has everything to do with how you recharge.
Yep.
That's the difference that most people miss. And you, like you say, you recharge by yourself, with your husband, with your dogs, in your sweats. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
So people don't have to have that fear. They see you like, oh, she's extroverted. I can't do that. No, you actually can. And you're hearing it right here.
100%. You just need to know. The more self-aware you are about how you connect best with people, and how you're able to show up for the game or the event or the moment or the speaking engagement. Like, I know that before and after, like, I'm going to squeeze all the juice out of the lemon when I do the thing. Like, I'm going to say, listen, I've got 6 podcasts I'm doing today. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to bang it out. I'm going to be on, right? But I'm preparing myself, knowing myself as an introvert. I know what I need to do in order to do that. I know I need to have quiet time before, and I know I need to have quiet time after. But as long as I've like my head's in the game and I know what's going to happen, like, I can perform
Totally.
And then, all right, I know in the back of my mind, okay, when this is all done, I'm going to get into my bed in the hotel. I'm going to order my room service or whatever it is, my Uber Eats, and I'm going to watch a baking show on Netflix. And I'm just going to chill. And then that's how I can really perform and push it all out, knowing that I can go introvert and recharge on the other side. But if you don't have that knowing of that, all right, I can go introvert, I can go take my time, I can go rest, and you just like push, and you're naturally an introvert, that's how burnout can happen.
Totally. It's a phenomenal point, too, of there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You can go and perform knowing that, okay, I'm going to get the bed, I'm going to get the cooking show, I'm going to get my go-to food. What is your go-to meal after a talk? Me and my wife, when she's with me, we find the best burger in any city that we're in. And the best burger is in Palm Springs. It's at the Ritz-Carlton.
I thought the best food was in New York.
The best food is in New York, but I have yet to find the best burger that beats Palm Springs Ritz-Carlton pretzel bun burger.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, what do you got? Do you have a go-to?
I'm boring. Yeah, okay, so this is really weird. You're getting me to say like all the things.
That's what we do.
I really love like burnt vegetables.
Oh, that's not weird.
Okay, I love
crispy Brussels sprouts.
Yes.
For life.
Give me a bowl of like really burnt.
Just crisp it up.
Crisp the Brussels sprouts, the cauliflower, the broccoli.
Yeah.
Give me some like chicken and some like burnt vegetables. And it's clean. I like to eat clean. I don't like to feel gross because I got to get up and do the thing.
Totally.
So crisp it up, burn it up, and I'll just eat a bowl of that and I'm happy.
Money. Jen, tell me you have been to Air One when you come out to LA.
I went yesterday.
Oh.
So I haven't been yet.
Why did we not go? Why are we not recording this live from Air One?
I have never been, and everyone was telling me that it would be my heaven. And I went. And I was like, I didn't even know what to do with myself.
Oh, you need me there to guide you. I would have showed you the way. I would have showed you the hot bar, the buffalo cauliflower.
I needed a guide.
The $39 yogurts, all of it.
Oh my God, I don't think I did a good enough job. Because like I was just grabbing everything that I could get my hands on. But I was like, there's so much I'm missing. Like I really need to like explore this in depth.
Well, you and Chris take Taylor and I out in New York. We'll take you to Air One and we will show you the ropes.
Done. It's a deal.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about food, which is very, very important, obviously, as we battle between LA and New York throughout this podcast. But we need to talk about this beautiful book here, Be Seen, coming out October 31st on Halloween. Be Seen, find your voice, build your brand, live your dream. This is, we're going to get into this, all right? And there's questions that I have that I want to ask you about building a brand and being seen. But what do you think of what do you think the hardest thing for people to, to grasp in terms of, hey, I want to build a brand. I want to be seen, but there's a right way to do it. There's a wrong way to do it. And I'm sure there's so many intricacies that you can talk about here. But what would you say, the biggest struggle you see people having with maybe it's acceptance to be seen? Because I hear this a lot too of well, why would they want to talk to me? Well, why would Jen want to come on my podcast and talk to me? Why would we don't value ourselves?
Yeah.
So what do you think the biggest struggle is in being seen that people will have?
You hit the nail on the head. So it's not that they pretend, a lot of people that I talk to a lot of people about this, and they pretend they don't know what to say or the strategy or the right or the wrong way to do it, like you just said. So the first thing is that if anybody on the internet or anywhere, anyone that's listening, tells you that there's only one way to build a brand or there's only one way to do something.
So good.
Run far away.
Yes.
Because there are, especially with personal branding, the thing that makes it a personal brand is that it's you and there's only one you.
So good.
And you need to make it uniquely you. And if you build a brand and you build a business that is based on what other people told you that you should do that would work, you're going to build a brand and a business that you hate.
Oh.
I know because I've done it. I was on a heavy metal talk show for 5 years and built a brand around something that was completely inauthentic to who I was. And I woke up one day and I had so many people that followed me that thought I was somebody I wasn't. And it was unbelievably exhausting to keep up with this lie. Yeah. And I was in this internal battle and I just hated what I was doing. And it was really hard to be able to be seen as who I really was after that was done. But here's the thing. You don't not know how to do it. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. You just have to show up. And the biggest thing that keeps people from doing it is fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of what other people will think of them, fear of not being good enough, fear in general. So in the book, I talk about the 6 symptoms of fear because
I love this.
Fear, yes. Fear can show up in the form of traditional fear, it's anxiety, your heart beating really fast and you're scared, right? You're scared. Oh my gosh, you're running from something. It's petrifying. I know that fear. But fear can also show up in really sneaky ways that don't necessarily feel like fear, but they keep you from taking action. So they're 100% symptoms of fear. So one of them is FOMO, and not FOMO like your fear of missing out, like your friends are all at the burger place in LA and you're not and you're FOMOing. Fear of missed opportunity. So maybe you're scrolling social media and you see somebody that's doing something that you really want to do. And they're out there being seen and they're creating the content and they're in the media and they're creating the business and they've got the podcast. And you're like, that should be me. Why am I not doing that? I'm not good enough. And then you spiral down another symptom, which is like comparisonitis. And you start comparing yourself to everybody's highlight reel on the internet. And you're like, oh, they're already doing that. So I can't do it. He's already talking about that. She already has that podcast that I wanted to create. He already wrote that book. I'm just not going to do it. Or perfectionism. Classic. I can't do it because I don't have the camera. I don't have the perfect lighting. I don't have the perfect studio. I don't have the perfect thing to say. I'll do it when I have the perfect messaging. I've heard that zillions of times. So fear's whole job is to keep you from taking action.
Totally.
That's its whole job. So it's going to lie to you. It's going to say, it needs to be perfect. It's not ready yet. How about analysis paralysis? Too many options. I'm just not going to make a decision. I'll just sit on the fence and I'll decide. There's so many ways to create content. There's so many ways to create a personal brand. I don't know which is right and which is wrong. So I'm just going to hold off and not start until I figure out what the perfect thing is for me. Fear wins.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're not taking action. So my whole thing and what I've been doing, and this book is just me practicing stuff. I will never talk about something that I didn't actually have to do and I'm doing right now actively while I promote this book. It's all about taking action to get clear and starting before you're ready and starting scared and starting messy and allowing yourself to be seen as who you really are. And every time you do that, you become a little bit more confident in who you are and what you're talking about and what you're doing, because you can only prove to yourself what you're capable of by doing.
All right. So I've been asked multiple times, am I still in college? No, I'm not. I kind of wish I was. But the reason I get asked that is because my skin still looks so young. I'm far from college, trust me. And I haven't always had the best skin either, like blemishes. Just 6 months ago, I had a huge, massive breakout, but that doesn't happen anymore. And honestly, it is because of OneSkin. I'm a true believer in what OneSkin is doing. They are addressing the skin at a molecular level, targeting root causes, not just the topical and trying to take blemishes away, but they're working on the root cause of what ages skin and functionalities and makes it feel and look younger. And they can actually reverse the age of your skin. Yeah. Nobody else is doing that. My wife and I, Taylor, who's got beautiful skin, even more beautiful now, we went up to headquarters in San Francisco and watched how it all was done. Growing skin, the testing that they're doing, their OneSkin body, OneSkin prep, OneSkin topical supplement. They're changing it. They are reversing. They are anti-aging, reinvented. So OneSkin, if you want your money maker, your skin, the biggest organ in your body, to be taken care of at the best level, this is for you. OneSkin.co, C-O, and the code for 15% off is David15. The link will also be in the show notes. That's OneSkin.co, David15, and reverse your age. Jen, I'm over here smiling because my book is called Do It, The Life-Changing Power of Taking Action.
Where we need to co-author next time.
From coast to coast. The Life-Changing Power of Taking Action, and it breaks down the 9 action archetypes of fear, similar to some fear archetypes that you're talking about. But it's really interesting when you think about it, because it is a no-lose game of life that we're playing.
Yeah.
Because if you take a chance and you fail, well, what do? You obviously learn a way to do it better the next time. And people think of like, well, I mean, what's the worst case scenario? 92.28% of worst case scenarios never come true. A study done by Lafrane and Newman. I'm just saying all this because I did all this research as well. You're probably like, I hear you.
Yeah.
But these worst case scenarios never come true. And if you think about it, the worst case scenario is, okay, well, if I do this, then I die. Then what? You're dead. You don't even have to worry about it. You're playing a win-win situation game of fear. And it's what holds so many people back. 8% of people ever achieve their dreams. 92% do not, because they live in fear. The biggest regret on people's deathbed is they wish they would have lived a life. And this is what I want to hit with you right after this to show how you can actually do this. They wish they would have lived a life of courage to be true to themselves and not worry what other people think. So how do we develop courage and be courageous?
courage is developed by doing, by trying.
Totally,
so confidence comes from consistently sticking with the commitments you make with yourself.
Good.
So I'll give you a story to talk about, to teach you, or how I learned how to be more courageous in life, in everything. And now it's very common, like ice baths, cold plunges. Everyone does them every other day now, right? I'm sure you open your social media and you see people doing ice baths every 5 seconds. Very popular. Okay. Well, I was in this mastermind ages ago. I think it was like maybe 5 years ago. And no one was doing ice baths at this time. It was not trendy. No one was jumping in an ice bath for fun. No one and their mom. So I was at this mastermind and they're like, we have a surprise for you. Everybody come up to the second floor. We're going to do this really cool activity. And I see all of these silver tubs and this lady pouring buckets of ice into these silver tubs. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of beverages for a party. Like, I have no idea what's happening. And they say, okay, we're going to do like Wim Hof ice baths. And I had a massive panic attack. Like physical anxiety attack, tears. I was petrified. I've never seen anybody do this before. It just scared me. And I did not want to do it. So much so that I sat back and I watched all of my friends do it. I said I wasn't going to do it. And I watched all of my mastermind friends like be really scared and get into the ice bath and then emerge like a phoenix rising from the ashes, like they were reborn. And suddenly they were a new person. And I still wasn't going to do it. Like, there was this other girl, she was sitting next to me and she wasn't doing it either. So I felt very comfortable and okay, I don't have to do it because this girl's sitting here, until that girl got up and girlfriend was in the ice bath and I no longer was not the only one. So I sat there and I asked myself, how do you want to feel tonight when you get in your bed? Because here's one thing that I know for sure. No matter what, time doesn't stop. That's why I have time on my wrist.
Oh. So I love that.
Thank you. It doesn't stop. We're going to end up in our bed tonight no matter what. This day is going to end. Whatever uncomfortable thing we need to do today, it's going to be uncomfortable for a second. And we're going to be in our bed being like, how did I show up today? So I sat there and I'm like, I'm going to be the only one that didn't do this for 2 minutes of discomfort. And so I decided to do this thing, the book Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert.
For sure.
In that book, she talks about going on a road trip with fear and talking to fear. So I was like, I've got nothing to lose. Let's talk to fear. And putting fear in the passenger seat of the car. So I'm like, okay, fear. I'm literally having a massive panic attack. And I'm like, fear, you're going to get in the passenger seat of this car. Shut up. I'm driving. You can't touch anything. And we're going to go together. Because I know you're not going to go away. I know you're going to be screaming at me. And I know this is going to suck. But it's going to be over before I know it. So shut up, get in the car. And I envisioned driving this car into the ice bath. And I go into this stupid thing for 2 minutes. It was horrible and painful. And I hated every second of it. But when I got out of the ice bath, do you want to know what I did?
What'd you do? Tell me.
I got right back into the ice bath.
No way. Wow.
Because, and this is what it taught me, when you do the thing you're afraid to do, you take away the power that fear has over you.
Oh, that's good.
And you create courage.
That is
so
really good.
I now in my life, because that was so scary for me, and I saw the transformation that happened when I just did the thing I was afraid to do. I Uber Eats 15 bags of ice to my apartment in New York City every single Saturday. And I do ice bath Saturdays by myself to practice, get my reps in, like my workout, practice putting fear in the passenger seat of the car. So now whenever something scary comes my way, whether that is a big speaking engagement or launching a book or doing a podcast that I'm nervous about doing or having a hard conversation with somebody on my team or somebody in my life, I know that discomfort is only temporary. I've proven it to myself again and again and again. But the growth that happens when you experience that uncomfortable moment, that is what success is made of. That's permanent.
That is so good. Rewind that bit right there. Listen to that every single morning when you wake up. And can we please get Jen a deal with an ice plunge or a Morosco fridge or something like that? So we're not Uber eating 15 bags.
It's messy. I'm telling you.
Isn't it funny though? Like anytime you go into like, you know, a dinner or a meeting and you're kind of fearful, like, oh, these people are way bigger than me. And I'm a little uncomfortable going into this and meeting these people. Every single time you come out of there, you're so glad that you did it.
You never want to go. You're always happy you went.
Always. You're like, I hope they cancel. I hope they cancel. I hope they please let them cancel. But then afterwards, like, oh my God, we're best friends. The best ever.
The best ever.
Yes.
Fun fact, the day I met my husband, we were going to go for a walk in the park. I didn't know it was a date. I thought I was connecting with this random super connector guy from that I got, like my ex-boyfriend was like, you should know this guy. Maybe he can help you with your business. I'm going for a walk in the park with this guy, just like a meetup. And I did the thing where I was like, I hope he cancels. I hope he cancels. I don't want to go. And I had to do everything in my power to get myself to Central Park, to that bench, to go on a walk with this guy. Could you imagine if I didn't get to the bench? So I tell myself all the time, you're literally one choice away from your entire life changing. I had no idea when I was walking up to that bench that I was going to sit on that bench and I was going to wait for my husband to walk up to me.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
You never know.
You never know. Yeah.
Say yes and show up even when you don't want to, because you're either A, going to have the best time of your life.
Totally.
Or B, you're going to have a terrible time, but it's going to turn into a great story or something you needed to learn or an experience you needed to have to grow and be a better person next time or to make a better decision next time.
So good. So good. Oh, that's good. There's a few ways I want to take this, and I think that's a good segment to talk about or ask you the question of what do you struggle with?
Yeah.
Because from the outside perception, it looks like we're talking about, she's got all this positive energy. She's got so much going for her. She probably doesn't struggle with anything. But as we know, it's a daily battle that we have to continue to tell ourselves these type of mindset tools to use. So if you're saying where you are right now to where you want to be, the future self-efficacy mode of Jen Gottlieb, what is in this gap? What's this struggle that you have right now?
I love that you asked me this question because I'm so in it right now. And we were talking about a little bit. When you launch a book, I've never launched a book before. So let me take you back for a second because this is like in a therapy session. So I've got a great therapist. And as I think that many people should have, I'm just saying to each his own, but I have a great therapist. She's helped me a lot. And
I thought you were saying I'm your great therapist. Oh. Okay, my bad. You have a great therapist.
I have one.
Okay.
But you're turning into a great
one. That's why I was laughing. I thought
right now.
I'm going to be your therapist today.
In this moment. It's pretty good. This is working out really well. And I was talking about my book and how nervous I was about it. Because when you're launching a book, and I don't think enough people talk about this, because they see like the experts on the internet that are launching books, and it seems really easy, and it seems like they're just out there promoting it. Like, this is what you do, and my book is amazing, and they're on every podcast. But behind the scenes, I've had so many conversations with authors, because a lot of my friends are authors. We were having this conversation earlier. It is scary as hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
The imposter syndrome is cray cray. Like, all the symptoms of fear are showing up. Perfectionism, imposter syndrome, FOMO, comparison, all of it. Am I good enough? Am I going to sell enough books? Are people going to like it? Are people going to judge me? Are people going to say things about it? Like, do people even care? All of those questions are like going through my mind every single day. And I would be lying to tell you that they weren't. And I want to let everybody know that's listening, you're not alone if you feel this way about anything, whether it's launching a book or if it's starting your new job or starting a side hustle or getting into a new relationship. Fear is always going to be there. Doubt is always going to be there. And my therapist asked me, she goes, I'm like complaining about, I'm like, like all of my fears, like vomiting on her, like, I'm just so scared that no one's going to like it. She goes, have you ever written a book before? And I said, no. She goes, what's your relationship with being a beginner? And I was like, wow, that's actually really interesting. She goes, you've never written a book before. So obviously you would be feeling all of these feelings. And I think that we look at the internet now and we look at everybody's chapter 20 and their finished product and their huge podcast that you don't even know the chapter 1, that nobody was listening to at the very first episode they ever put out. Their very first book that they ever did that not many people paid attention to. You see the 5th book, you see the highlight reel, you see the chapter 20. You don't often see the steps that it took to get there. So what is your relationship with being a beginner, and how can you step into it with a perspective of, this is my first book? Or this is my first relationship, or this is my first day of this first new job. Can I give myself permission to fail, to be messy, to show up as myself, and to have a good time, and understand and know that time doesn't stop. The uncomfortable moments are going to be uncomfortable, but every step of the way I'm going to be learning something new that I'm going to bring to the table the next time around. And what you said was so powerful before we pressed record was that at the end of the day, I believe what you believe, that like if this book is supposed to be a great, huge hit and supposed to get in the hands of a lot of people, then God will make it so.
Totally.
And I can do whatever I can do in my power, and that's great. And I have to let go and let God and trust and know that I wrote a great book and I'm doing my best to get it out there. But if you try to micromanage everything and you care too much about other people rejecting you or judging you, it's not going to come off authentically. You're going to have an energy of pushing and striving, and it's not going to be fun. And life is too short for it not to be fun.
Okay, so what I'm about to tell you is going to literally blow your mind. It did mine. For a month now, I have been trying out GoExec. I'm going to tell you what this is. So just to preface, I always look for the extra added advantage, the 1% edge. And usually it's something physical or, it's something mental, but I've never found the balance of the two. And it's crazy because as being a type A, very driven person, and I want to just have great impact, I don't get a whole lot of sleep. I work a lot of hours. There is stress, frequent travel. I mean, raise your hand if you can, you really relate to that. But what GoExec is doing is the mental and physical balance. Now, they bridged the gap between mental health, physical health, high quality, scientifically formulated nutraceuticals. So let's have an ingredient spotlight here. BioPQQ. You know what that is? Yeah, I didn't either, but now I do. Energy, endurance, and longevity. Scientifically shown to slow the aging process, increase energy levels, and improve cognitive function. It has won award after award for the best ingredients that are used for the mental and physical performance of best science. PQQ is naturally occurring essential nutrient found in foods such as kiwi, green peppers, potatoes, tofu, and green tea. So what GoExec is doing, they're putting this into pill form, and you literally, physically, and mentally are more focused, less stress, longevity, you're on fire. It's been great for me. And for me, being a high performer, it's tough to see the change a lot, but I actually have been feeling it. And what GoExec is doing, because they are so cool, awesome people over there at GoExec.com, GoExec.com, stands for Go Execute, 20% off. David Nurse 20 is going to be your code. David Nurse 20 at checkout. GoExec.com. Trust me, you're going to be on fire like I am. Go check it out right. That is one of the best segments I've ever heard. I'm literally getting goosebumps over here listening to you say that, because you are so right. There is nothing that's going to stop God from what he has planned for you. You can try to bang down as many doors as you want. You can try to open as many, kick as many open. But if he says, you know what? Be Seen is going to sell millions, tens of millions, it's going to happen. And you were doing, like you said, your best to do so. But you know what? I have this feeling it is going to sell a lot. And it's not, someone told me this too. It's not even about how many you sell. It's about how many people read.
100%.
Because that is where the impact is going to happen. And you have an authenticity about you that makes people be able to connect with you without knowing you personally. They will want to read this. But it is the lie that we continue to tell yourself. And like I was telling you before we hopped on here, it's like that one of the struggles is that authors have, and they're like, well, I just don't want to make these asks. It's hard to ask. And it's very hard to ask. Even friends you've had for a long time, you're like, well, will they really want to help me? Two things there. One, you have to ask because you put all this work into something that you know is going to provide somebody a ton of value, transform their lives. So it'd be selfish of you if you didn't ask on the flip side. And two, if they're your true friends, they're going to scream from mountaintops wanting to help you. Come on my podcast. I'll buy this many books. I'll tell everybody. Those are the things, the lies that we tell ourselves as authors that we literally need to shed.
I literally have a section in my book called Becoming a Master Asker.
Oh, it's so good.
It's all about the power of asking for help. Because, and here's another thing. Every time you don't ask somebody that cares about you for their help, you're taking away an opportunity for that person to feel seen and heard and important by you. Mm. Because how do you feel when a good friend of yours, somebody that you really care about, comes to you and says, I need your help with something, and you're able to help them? How does that make you feel?
The best.
Right?
That's what you love.
That's the best feeling in the world.
Exactly.
You're able to help someone you care about.
Exactly.
So if you don't ask people that you've provided value for, you have to, that piece is very important. So before I even started, this book was even in print, I was in a season of giving. I was like, I know I'm going to have to ask, and that's going to be very uncomfortable for me. So I'm just going to give as much as I possibly can to people. And give, and not with anything, expecting anything in return, but because giving feels good. And then also knowing that I'm not going to feel as bad if I have to make that ask later on, because I've given a lot. And that's a big piece of it. However, when you ask somebody that cares about you to help you and they're able to provide you with that value,
it's the best.
They feel great.
Totally.
You're giving them an opportunity to feel important and needed. And I have to remind myself of that every day right now. So I am in this.
Yep. You know the saying that I use for that? Don't be a blessing blocker.
Ooh.
Don't block somebody else with the blessing that they want to give.
That's good. That's good.
I credit that to my wife. Taylor's, that's yours.
Taylor.
It's Taylor's friends. It's Taylor's friends. They came up with it. But,
Taylor.
Okay. As we wind down here, there's a couple things I want to get to. We're going to get to some action steps on how you can build your personal brand and what people can actually do for that. But is there anything that I'm not asking that there's a message in this book that I'm not getting to that you really want to get out there? What am I not asking you that needs to be asked? And if there's nothing, we can just go on to the action steps of getting into the nitty gritty details of it. Because as you think about that, also, it's interesting when people build brands, they think like, and I get this all the time of like, well, I want to do all this. I want to do what Tony Robbins or John Maxwell or Mel Robbins or Jen Gottlieb, but you can't do everything. You have to go in narrow and specific and then build wide. Is that some tools and advice you're giving for that?
Yeah, that's like comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20.
Yeah.
So I think that's very easy. So you go on, like, let's say, look at your brand and your podcast that you built. How long have you been doing this podcast for?
6 years?
6 years.
Yeah.
So someone would probably go online or find your podcast and be like, I want to immediately have a podcast just like David Nurse's podcast. And what they didn't see was the fact that you had to have a first episode that not many people listen to.
Brutal.
Okay, right?
Brutal.
All right. So we need to stop comparing to the finished product. And I do that all the time. I'm like, I want my brand. Patience is a really powerful thing. I'm all about taking fast action and taking action before you're ready, but also consistent action and being patient and knowing that something that's really great takes time and energy and effort to build. Things that happen really fast like that are immediate overnight successes, if you notice, often don't last very long.
You haven't built the roots. There's no foundation.
You need, and I was an actress, right? Yep. And I was, the first big role that I ever got was Linda in the Broadway National Tour of The Wedding Singer. That experience changed my life as an entrepreneur. It taught me all of the biggest lessons that I needed to know in my future that I didn't realize I was learning at that time that I was going to need. And one of the biggest lessons was I did not get that part right away. I auditioned my face off for years and didn't get it and didn't get it and didn't get it. And I got the understudy and I had to wait but once I got the part and I played it on the stage for the first time, I realized, whoa, if I would have gotten this in the beginning, I wouldn't have been this good. It would have not even close. I needed all of those reps. You're an athlete. You know how important reps are. You need to put the reps in order to get really good. Even the greats are putting the reps in. Really quick story before we end. This is really powerful. And I learned this in New York City. Great New York City moment. So here we go. Maybe we will end this by winning the battle. Are you ready?
In New York City to win the battle. Okay, and we got to give a couple tools of just like, hey, today, here's what I want you to do.
There's a tool in here. There's a tool in here.
Always one step ahead.
Yeah, I got it. I'm going to wrap it all together. Here we go. Okay.
Come on.
So I live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. There's this little tiny hole in the wall comedy club on like 75th Street and Broadway. It doesn't matter where it is, but it's like 15 seats in there. Very small. And we know the owner. And one day, a couple years ago, the owner called us and he was like, it was like Labor Day weekend. No one was in the city. He's like, Jen, Jerry Seinfeld's coming to the comedy club. You got to get here.
No way.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Jerry Seinfeld, like 15-seat little theater. Like we're going to be up close. So we like run over there and we sit down. And Jerry Seinfeld, the highest paid comedian of all time, gets on stage and starts bombing.
That's crazy.
No one is laughing. It's super uncomfortable. And then he pulls out a note card and starts reading jokes off of a note card. And I look at Chris and I'm like, oh my God, Jerry Seinfeld is practicing right now. He's seeing what works and what doesn't. And then a couple years later, his Netflix special was filmed 2 blocks away at the Beacon Theater, where all of those jokes that like were terrible when I saw it were amazing on the big stage at his Netflix special, totally crushed it. He needed to practice. And that's why I do Instagram lives every day. And here's my takeaway tip. I do Instagram lives every day with no makeup on and practice asking questions or answering questions and asking questions because it's my reps. It's how I practice speaking. It's how I practice telling my stories. It's how I practice my content. It's how I learn what my audience wants. Building your brand is about reps. So you want to know a tactical step to start building your brand? Start being seen with the stage in your pocket. Everyone wants to be on a big stage. Start with the stage in your pocket. I dare you. There might only be 5 people that come on live or that pay attention to your post or watch your video. But I promise you, if you consistently practice, it's not about the 5 people watching. It's about you practicing, getting the reps in, doing the free throws. Like, you know, all of those shots that you have to practice taking in order to get good. You got to do that with building your brand too. And as you go, the more that you do, the more that you will do, because you're going to learn as you go. It's not about getting clear to take action. It's about taking action to get clear. So my action step for you is to start to get your reps in consistently to build courage and confidence over time, because you're not being seen because you don't know how. You're not being seen because you are afraid that you are not worthy and you're not good enough. And the only way to prove that to yourself is by doing it.
Oh my gosh. Drop the mic on that. The stage in your pocket. That is such a cool tool to have.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. I mean, literally, I have nothing to add to that other than amen and amen. And I think New York City wins the battle because of that story right there. How cool is that to see Jerry Seinfeld?
Like
you're like the best of the best.
Drop it on the floor.
Oh, Jen Gottlieb, an incredible, incredible episode, everybody. Be Seen is coming out October 31st. I need you to go get this book right now, pre-order it. Tell 16 of your closest friends, 35 of your closest relatives, all of your old classmates that you graduated with. Tell everybody about it, because this will absolutely help you and many people in your life. Jen Gottlieb, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. You're amazing.
You're amazing. This was so fun. Thank you.
Thank you.